Hello, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to do a study here, a little bit of a essay, trying to get ready for. This is just a rough to get started on this. Discuss this with my brother Clark, and doing this for him right now. But again, this is just a rough on the Bible, book of Daniel, an overview and possible meanings of the book. This is by James Craig Wilson. That's me. Okay. The book of Daniel is a part of the Old Testament and is named after its main character, Daniel, who was a prophet and a statesman in the court of the Babylonian and Persian empires. The book consists of two parts. The first six chapters contain a series of stories about Daniel's life, while the last six chapters contain a series of prophetic visions that he received. The first six chapters of the book of Daniel are often referred to as the court tales, or the historical section. They include familiar stories such as the fiery furnace and Daniel in the lion's den, as well as stories of Daniel interpreting dreams and receiving visions. These chapters are generally thought to have been written in Aramaic, the language of the Babylonian Empire, and were likely composed during the 6th century BC. The last six chapters of the book of Daniel are written in Hebrew and are often referred to as the apocalyptic section. They contain a series of prophetic visions that Daniel received, including the famous vision of the four beasts and the vision of the 70 weeks. These chapters are more difficult to interpret and have been the subject of much debate among scholars, which I hope to do some debate. A lot of numbers in here, so I haven't fleshed out much of that yet. Dig into that at a later date. Moving on. There are several possible meanings of the book of Daniel. One interpretation is that it is a historical account of the Babylonian and Persian empires as seen through the eyes of a faithful Jewish servant of God. Another interpretation is that the book is a call to faithfulness in the face of persecution and exile, as Daniel and his friends remained faithful to God despite being taken from their homeland and forced to serve in a foreign court. A third interpretation is that the book contains prophetic visions that point to the coming of the Messiah and the ultimate triumph of God's kingdom over all earthly kingdoms. Overall, the book of Daniel is a rich and complex work that has been the subject of much study and interpretation over the centuries. Its stories and prophecies continue to inspire and challenge readers today. Okay, what do the numbers mentioned in the Bible book of Daniel mean? The book of Daniel contains several numbers that are often interpreted symbolically. Here are some of the most significant examples. 10 days, which is Daniel 1:12 through 15. In this passage, Daniel and his friends refuse to eat the royal food and ask for vegetables instead. The official in charge of them is hesitant because he fears the king's wrath, but Daniel suggests a test period of 10 days. This number may symbolize a limited period of time, or it may represent a time of testing or purification, or what do you think? Then 3 years, that's Daniel 1:18 through 20. After the 10-day test, Daniel and his friends are found to be healthier and stronger than the other young men who had eaten the royal food. They are then trained for 3 years in the language and literature of the Babylonians. This number may represent a period of preparation or training, or 7 times. That's Daniel 4:16 through 23. In this passage, King Nebuchadnezzar has a dream in which he sees a tree that is cut down, but its stump and roots remain. Daniel interprets the dream to mean that Nebuchadnezzar will be driven from his throne and live like a wild animal for 7 times until he acknowledges God's sovereignty. This number may represent a period of divine judgment or punishment or What do you think? And 70 weeks. That's Daniel 9:24 through 27. In this passage, Daniel receives a prophecy concerning the future of Jerusalem and the Jewish people. He is told that 70 weeks have been decreed for them, during which time their sins will be atoned for and everlasting righteousness will be established. This number has been interpreted in various ways, but many scholars see it as representing a period of 490 years during which God's plan for Israel will be fulfilled. 1,260 days, Daniel 7:25, and also paralleled in Daniel 7:25 and 12:7, and also paralleled in Revelation 11:3, 12:6, and 14, and Revelation 13, verse 5. This number appears several times in the book of Daniel. It's interesting. And in the book of Revelation. It is often interpreted as representing a period of persecution or tribulation during which time God's people will be tested and refined. Some scholars see it as a symbolic representation of the entire church age, from the time of Christ's ascension until his second coming. Uh, it's worth noting that these numbers appear to be highly symbolic and may have multiple layers of meaning. Interpretations may vary depending on the context and the theological perspective of the interpreter. Now, my power went out, but I'll finish this. I think I got just enough battery to get through this. I invite anybody who is into this to please comment or point me in the direction if you have found anything regarding the book of Daniel. It appears to me there's a whole bunch underneath this, and apparently from what this little basic bit of research, I'm just scratching the surface. There's been a lot of study on this book, so uh, please uh, give me some ideas, comments, and once again, as always, thank you for tuning in. Blessed be.